Gareth, good to see you. After the positives of the opening game, is your intention to stick with the winning team?
I think we've got to assess energy levels, different opponent. So, yeah, we of course would like to stick on a decent path, and we're very happy with what everybody did, substitutes included. But we've just got to balance whether we need some fresh energy and whether people who've not played so much can go again.
Did the game take more out of you than you thought it might? More out of some players than you thought?
Not than what we thought. I mean, these games are tough, and the emotion that's involved in tournament football is just completely different to anything that the players experience with their clubs. So when you're recovering from those games, there's how you feel from the physical nature of the game, but the emotion drains you so much more.
Is there still no confidence in you that the players will be at the right sort of physical peak that's needed to win a tournament, to go far in a tournament?
Oh, I think we'll get better. I think we've got to manage some players because if we push them too much, the guys that haven't got a lot of football under them bonnet, then you run the risk of injury. And we've got to keep the freshness through the tournament, so there's a balance to be found.
Is Jude Bellingham, in terms of his fitness, where he'd like to be? Because he's been relentless with his game time, played a lot of big games, and went to the limit again the other night.
Yeah, he missed quite a lot of football earlier in the season, so I don't think there'll be an overload. Again, I think the other day, a lot of emotional energy, so he'll be fine.
You were very positive before, and then you were positive after the game about Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield. Is that the way forward?
Well, I don't want to dismiss the other players in the squad because we've always got to have competition for places. So I think watching the game back again, Trent positionally was very sound. Wasn't always easy to get on the ball in the areas where he might play those more wide-ranging passes, and at some moments we didn't have enough forward runners as well. So if you've got a good passer, you need people to make those runs to be able to hit. Runners make passes. So, but look, I'm very happy with what he did.
What would you say to those who say we're yet to see the best of Phil Foden for England?
I thought Phil did an incredible job for the team on Sunday. Sometimes the bits with the ball are obvious and they catch the eye, but the amount of ground he covered, the angles of pressing, the filling in for people who were further forward, I thought without Phil's contribution, without the ball, and I know that's not the sexy bit and everybody wants to see him on the ball, but without his contribution off the ball, I don't think we win the game. So then later in the game, when we needed somebody to retain the ball and take the pressure, I thought he did that really well for us.
Would you agree there's still a level to come for England? I think it's 4 goals, more than 30 caps. There's more that he can do, clearly.
I think Phil has obviously set an incredibly high bar at Manchester City, where he knows exactly where every player is going to be every time he picks the ball up. A club that he's been at since he's been 13 years old. Used to go in there during the week for training. So an environment that he's known nothing else. With us, we're always having to adapt to different teammates, different runs they make, and there is adaptation with that.
How did it dovetail with him and Bellingham essentially maybe rotating in that number 10 position?
Well, they've both got a certain amount of freedom, and the beginning of the game I thought we did that really, really well. For half an hour we were completely dominant. There was a period after about 20 minutes I think we'd had 80% of the ball. I really liked how we played. We then didn't retain the ball later in the game as well as we need to, and of course Serbia had to come and they make things difficult for you. They drop players low. Hard to press because when you go and press they want to play over you into the 2 forwards. So it was a complicated game for our midfield, especially defensively, and to end up with, I think they had the modern word XG of 0.28 or something tells us how well our team defended.
Is Phil Foden going to be able to offer you something nobody else can, though? That's essentially what he does for Man City. Is he going to be able to do that for England?
I think the important thing here is that we're a team, and it's about the team winning, and it's about all the players contributing with and without the ball. And of course, we have huge focus on certain individuals, but on different days there will be different match winners, different headline writers, and each player has to be ready for their moment, and they will.
What's the outstanding quality, and you've known Jude Bellingham a long time, that's enabled this progress of his?
Mentality, really. He is comfortable embracing the pressure of needing to deliver on the big stage and thrives on it. And I think there's still room for improvement. I think he got through 90 minutes work in 45. That's still experience to come. But the ability to impact games in the manner that he did is a phenomenal attribute.
What's the one thing or several things that he's added to his game in the last year? By going to Real Madrid, what do you see now that you hadn't seen before?
Well, he had a different role further forward, and so his finishing, his arriving in the box, timing of his runs went to another level, really. And I think once you start to score goals, there's a belief that comes that you can impact games. So, that would be the biggest thing at Dortmund. He was a little bit lower, used to make good forward runs, but now at Madrid he was freer without the ball. He didn't have to defend too much. And he was able to make those runs to a greater effect.
Do you have now as well a real leader? He's in your leadership group. The way that he is on the pitch, there's a captain in there, it seems. He's not afraid to behave like a captain.
No, it's crucial for us. We've got a captain, but we've got people like Declan Rice, like Jude, who are coming through, as well as the older players. I mean, Walker and Trippier, their contribution to the game, John Stones the other night, phenomenally important. Not only how they played individually, but their impact of their talking and their presence on others.
The system you used, it seemed, and Harry Kane said it, to mean that Harry was further up the field, dropped in less as a playmaker. Is that the way things will continue?
I think that was Harry's interpretation of what was happening around him on the day. That wasn't something that we'd specifically talked about. He's got the freedom to come low, and when he comes low, others need to make forward runs. So I think he felt in the first half there were enough players doing that he was better served by occupying people higher. And of course, for most of the 8 years I've been in charge, I've been told he drops too deep. So it's slightly ironic that I'm now being told not to play Trent when I was told to play Trent for 8 years, and now I'm not to let Harry go deep so that's our world, really.
You're still getting used to that English manager conundrum, Gareth, maybe, yeah. I mean, you're never going to be right. You are aware of this.
That's the one bit I am certain of, yeah.
Bukayo Saka is back. What does he offer at his best?
Well, that ability to take people out of the game in 1v1 situations, and the speed, the threat in behind. But he's another player that works phenomenally hard for the team as well. And in the biggest games, you need that from all of your players. In the biggest games, he's there. Why has he been so good, do you think, in tournament football? Well, I think we believe in him. I think he's got strength of character, personality. He's got the talent. He's got physically good attributes to receive when pressed. And a lot of international football, Serbian team, I think they only had one who was under 6 foot. It was a physical environment. You had to stand up to that. He made his first start for England as a left wing back. Did you see him, 8 months later, playing on the right side of attack in knockout football in the Euros? Well, we saw him with Arsenal during that season doing both. He had operated as a wing back for them, so that was as he broke into our team. But as that season went on, the more we watched him, the more we liked what he did. He contributed in every aspect of the game. He contributed when Arsenal were having a tough time in that period, which is a great sign for a young player. Players can play well when the team are playing well, but he was playing well when the team were struggling, and that tells us a lot about an individual's character.
Is there a steely edge under the smile?
Without a doubt. To come back from what he went through in 2021 and then to be our player of the year the following year sort of sums up what he has.
What did that tournament, the Euros, the last Euros, and the way he dealt with it tell you about him?
Great people around him. I think all the players would recognise that the importance of the people that are around them, the support from when they've been young, but also as they go through their career. If you don't have the right people around you, at times giving you the honest truth that might be painful, but being supportive when it's needed, then I think it's hard to succeed as a player.
But what did he need then?
Well, I think a bit of love, a bit of support, but also, okay, come on, let's go. I know Mikel did a bit of both with him as well in his club. So I think everybody was involved in that process. But ultimately, it's down to the player. The player is responsible for how they respond to events that happen and what they do next in their career.
Ultimately, it's down to the player on the field, isn't it, too?
Well, it is.
A lot of talk is always at tournaments about your 11, the 11 you select. But ultimately, how much they grab a game, influence a game, is down to them, to a degree.
Well, the last time I played, it was a long time ago, but that's how it was. So I think, I accept in the end, part of my responsibility is to take the pressure for the players. So I'm comfortable with that. I think I want them to have the freedom to go and play. And mistakes are going to happen. They're not going to be perfect. And I sort of repeat, I don't think anybody can believe, unless they've played in them, how different that feels, an opening game of a tournament, especially one where we're back to the stadium being alive with fans of both sides. We haven't had that in the last couple of tournaments. So a completely different environment for so many of our players.
That was a big one to win.
Huge. If you don't win the first game of a tournament, you can be in trouble quickly. And whilst there's still a lot of work to do to qualify, it's important to get off to that good start.
Just on Saka, a goal every 3 games, 27 assists, all goals in 34 caps. That's end product.
It is, yeah. He's a good player, and he's been able to deliver. I think he enjoys playing here. I think he enjoys the environment. I think he understands how we want to play. We give him the license to do what he does well, which I think we do with all of the players. And he's thrived in it.
Are Denmark a step up in quality from Serbia?
Different, I think. Serbia are a good team, and they have some very, very good players. And Denmark are also a good team who have some very, very good players. So it certainly doesn't get easier, but and some of the tactical element will be similar, but there are some differences between how they play.
And what needs to be better?
For us, if we start the game as well as we did the other day, I'd be delighted. Then we have to keep the ball better, create a little bit more in the final third, and if we can defend as well as we did, we'll be in a good place.